Hello, Connective. Welcome back. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Subscribe, share, and like without smashing anything, and let's get into this energy. This is a collective reading for Cancer. Cancer, I've already pulled your overlying energy. We did jumpers for your overlying energy and your underlying energy out of the Akashic Tarot deck. We've changed it up a little bit. So Akashic Tarot deck, and then on the last cycle I was calling it the Spiritual Awakening deck, but it's actually like the Universal Law deck, this Spiritual Awakening Universal Law deck. So we have overlying and underlying energies from both of those decks that we took as jumpers, and then we're going to pull your energy right now, your overall energy from the Energy Oracle, and we'll see what comes out there, and then we'll talk about what came out for you in those other decks. We could talk a little bit right now about already what I'm seeing on the table until I show you each individual card as we're getting these energy cards out. So I'll show them to you in a minute, but you have from the Akashic deck, the overall deck, the Four of Keys. It's the card is clearing your way. Clearing the way, sorry. This card really is talking to me about like the overlying energy is that you have to clear the way. There's something that you're getting ready to move into, but right now there is something in your path, literally in your way, that your main theme here is that you need to clear so that you can move on to the next step. So, wow. And it looks like it might be love. We'll see what else comes out for you. I'm going to, cards are acting a little crazy. I'm going to go through it one more time after this, and then we'll talk about the Akashic deck. I have this card facing down. I have no idea what it is right now. Let's see if anything else wants to come out for Cancer out of this deck. Anything? I see cards making moves. Nope. All right. Let's see what we got here. Okay, so let's go back to the Akashic for the overlying energy. So this is that Four of Keys that I was talking about, clearing the way. These cards can be a little dark, but they're basically trying to go home, and there's a giant tree blocking their way, and he already has I believe it's an axe. He already has an axe that he can, he doesn't have to call anybody. He can free himself and get back home, but he has to do the work. And then this card came out as your overlying energy from that the Universal Law deck, and it's called the Law of Nature. Reconnect with Mother Earth. So this is a grounding card. So I'm, getting be grounded, but I'm also getting the nature of like cycles and how things need to move, right? Things need to end and then things need to move. Or if you consider that you're sitting at a stopping point right now, you're at a standstill, and then action needs to take place. So things need to move. So for the underlying energy for the Akashic deck, two cards came out. Archangel Michael actually came out. And I took this as you are divinely protected, but there are also other things going on. This is the energy that you need to embody to get out of whatever you're doing, whatever you're trying to do, get through it, move forward. There's a lot of ways that this could be taken, particularly this card isn't saying any one side of your life. This could be work, love, life, and it could be anything. The card itself is talking about courage, force, initiative, and action, but I'm taking it again as like moving forward, being protected while you're moving forward is the main underlying energy, but yes, with all those other things included. And then we have the Seven of Roses, which is the journey. And I feel like this is part of these other cards that are coming out, because clearing the way is really an action card. And then Archangel Michael is an action card. And then this journey is also an action card. So this is all moving forward. And Archangel Michael and the journey is what you really need to sort of embody or, channel in order to get through what you're trying to get through. So you also have supporting energy from the Universal Law Tarot deck. So the first one that came out, I didn't even see this other one. So the first one that came out was the Law of Allowing. Stop trying to fix, change, or control anyone. So I kind of feel like it's again kind of saying about how you're sort of trying to hold on to something that wants to move, or you're like stuck because you're sort of trying to control something or stop something from ending, kind of a thing. and it's holding you, it's literally a tree in the middle of your road. So then we also have the law of intention. This literally says give up complaining. So again, if it's something like you're not moving because you're thinking that something needs to move for you, you're talking about it, but you're not doing anything about it. This card is saying, as part of the underlying energy, that you're going to have to, if you are talking about it, that you're going to have to actually stop talking about it and do something about it. A lot of times people are bothered by things that aren't necessarily changed for them, and it bothers them until it changes. And if it doesn't change, then this person is just forever perpetuating this idea of the fact that they don't like whatever it is that's going on. Meanwhile, they do have some power in certain situations to change things. It just depends on what you're talking about. It again, at work, you might have a little bit more resistance to trying to change something than if you were like in your love life or in your family life. So again, it could be anything. A lot of times when I try to dig into what the actual situation is in the reading doesn't show me, and I think it's basically saying that it doesn't really matter what the circumstances are. Like in some cases it might not even matter how you got to a certain spot. So maybe it'll come out, but right now it could be work, love, or life. Action needs to be taken. Actions on the table 3 times. So we also have, we're going to go with, let's start with the Angel of Love. So we have the Angel of Love and the Thinking Man. So I do feel like the message that's coming out, I feel like somebody already knows that they need to move forward in something, that they've thought about it. This is the type of person that is solid in their, they don't just impulse change. You know, they think about it. They, you know, this is you. I'm picking this up as you, but it could be another person. But somebody that is conscious about the decisions that they make when they decide to move forward, they've already thought about it. They don't just jump into whatever might be boiling water. And then you have Door to Value. So this is one of the first cards that I saw come out, and I figured maybe you were trying to take some kind of action so that you can move towards the Door to Value. The Door to Value could be anything. It could be money. It could be love. We have the Angel of Love on the table. It could be anything at your job that this thinking man might be involved with, or any action that needs to be taken that is just very valuable. It doesn't have to be, you know, valuable to you in the sense of it's more valuable to your boss, but it's valuable to you in the sense of the satisfaction that you get from your contributions. So again, through your actions, could be anything. And then we have the Walking Away card. So walking away kind of tells me also that we're down here still with, like, you know, giving up complaining. Like there's certain things that we have to let go of to take action. It might not just be complaining, and we might not be complaining. We could just be talking. Although for some reason a story comes to mind. Maybe I should tell it. I usually tell more of the personal stories in the extendeds, but you know, seems pretty relevant and did come to my mind. I wasn't actually thinking about it, but as far as complaining, you know, that card says literally give up complaining, and I've been sitting here saying talking about it. Well, the interesting thing about it is that I had made this appointment, and I had actually made 2, but they were both equally important, and then the morning that I got up, one of them had been canceled. And so I was trying to, you know, how you're trying to, somebody goes, oh, let me help you solve this problem, you know, and you try to solve this problem, and it kind of just makes it worse because you end up like giving a bunch of your time and you don't really get anywhere. And so when I got to the other appointment, because they're affiliated with each other, I was just telling the lady, I was just sitting there and telling her like my experience, and I wasn't angry. I mean, I was slightly probably annoyed, otherwise I wouldn't have been talking about it, but I wasn't talking about it with any extreme feeling. I wasn't having any extreme emotions or anything like that. And I was just telling the story about how, you know, what happened. And she, you know, she was being empathetic. She had to take my blood pressure 3 times because my blood pressure was going up as I was talking about it. So I always say on this channel about how, you know, yes, getting things out is it's important, but at the same time, you know, at certain times you don't actually have to get things out. Like, let's say you're trying to say something and somebody's not listening to you, and you feel the need that you know, to be listened to, so you're trying to like force this thing down their throat or whatever, you know. You don't actually have to do that, things like that, to make changes in your life. You know what I mean? You don't have to talk about it. You don't have to make, you know, that statement, that outward statement, especially in a situation with resistance where you're trying to do something and it's like pushing back on you. You know, I always say that talking about it doesn't necessarily help. Sure, it's great for communication if you're trying to work something out with someone and you're letting them know, you know, what's going on, how you feel or whatever's going on. But even then, you know, energy-wise, I mean, I know better than most that you really should be careful of the words you use. And again, you know, in a situation where you're not upset, you're not really using any words, the energy of the situation itself could be enough to raise your blood pressure or lower your vibration or whatever it is that you're trying to do. It'll be the total opposite, because the idea of not really focusing on the energy aspect of it, I mean, that's why we do these readings, right? We're not just talking about action necessarily, right? I mean, sure, we are. We're talking about movement, right? We're talking about quit sitting still and complaining and that kind of thing, allowing a cycle to move forward instead of trying to like hold things back and stick stuff where it is, right? But, you know, this is also like, this involves your heart. This involves, you know, it's not just, like I said, like a work situation. This could be a situation where somebody really actually does value their heart, but the energy that is in it for whatever reason, and it could just be hanging on to something in the past that was unpleasant perhaps, or something that keeps them from necessarily wanting to move forward. I mean, I can see that in this reading, to where something happened, and again, doesn't have to be on the table. Walking away is on the table. It tells us we had to walk away from something, or somebody walked away from us, right? Something happened. And here we are with this kind of like thing that we did where we sort of stuck ourselves like wherever we were. These are actually shuffled. We're gonna try to get some jumpers. You know, we kind of like look up one day and we're kind of, you know, it's like, how did I get here? You know, a lot of times we let other people make those decisions for us, you know, how we're going to take the next step, how we're going to behave, you know, are we going to fix the thing, or are we going to talk about it? And again, wow. That's mortality. You know, honestly, a lot of people say, well, you know, I like to talk about it because it makes me feel better and I get it out. And you know, it is what's happening. So I'm not like, you know, lying or putting any other kind of energy on it. I'm just stating what is, kind of thing. And it's, even if you are, if it's something that you don't like, then you're perpetuating that energy. So, you know, I feel like that's why that card comes out as complaining, because it's kind of saying like, even though you might just be talking about it, that it's enough to perpetuate the situation. It could be the words that you're using. It could be the way that you're using those words. And in certain situations, especially when we are trying to do like some sort of energetic work, it might even be better to just not say anything at all, honestly. But it's really up to you to decide when it's important and when it's not, Cancer, because I get it. Sometimes you guys are in situations, I mean, it happens with, I'm a Scorpio, it happens with Scorpios too, but I feel like it really happens a lot, like more often with Cancers, to where, you know, somebody says something and they may not even be, somebody may not even be trying to be mean, and it'll just hurt your feelings, and I get that. And in those cases, yeah, it probably isn't terrible to speak up. I don't see necessarily hurt your feelings on the table right now. I do see things that make you angry. It's funny that this card's been coming out lately. Keep your temper. That's from the the Wonderland deck. And then we already talked about mortality. Look, we have another hidden card. So mortality down here, we'll call it with walking away. What's this? Wake up. So this is usually the card of, you either know what's happening and you're kind of like talking like it's not happening, or you don't see what's happening and you need to see it. The thing about the wake up card is, it's not just like, oh, you don't see it, like wake up. Like, it's kind of like you're already upset about it, the thing that you don't see. Like, it's already making you mad, and it's there, but you don't see it, right? Now this is impossible things. I'm actually picking this up for some reason. It's really weird because I don't think I have a gaslighting card here, but I'm picking this up as gaslighting. I guess there might be a card that says gaslighting. It's not this one though. Working through disbelief, imaginative leaps, fresh perspective. No, I'm picking this up as gaslighting. It's almost like you see what's going on, it's making you angry, but somebody else is telling you that that's not happening quite the way you think it is. And then you're being told to kind of, hey, see it for what it is and then end it because it really is. I wonder if like a trust your judgment thing is on the table. So this is, I wonder what will happen next. Usually this comes off as like this is a pause before action. So this is kind of like what we've been talking about up here, but in a negative way to where we don't want to move forward because we're afraid of something. Let's just say we're afraid of something. Might not be fear. It could be we could still be hurt about something. There might not be any fear. We could just be hurt. I mean, so it might be another emotion, but for some reason there's a reason why we're not moving forward. This one is kind of more telling me like as a pause to move forward, like before moving forward is like, it's almost like a positive thing. Like, I wonder what will happen next is kind of like the idea to look at it in a way of like, you know, being in wonder at like true, like anticipation as opposed to trepidation about what's coming forward. This card, it's kind of like, it's almost like I'm taking it as like this pause that's sitting here because of like the fear. And then this says believe. So trying to hone in, I'm getting several messages on that card. I'm trying to pick one. You have to believe in that, what I'm talking about, that wonder of the future. You have to believe in that. You have to, the impossible things, you have to walk away from the impossible things. If you try to take the impossible things with you, this believe card, it's not going to work because they don't go together. The impossible things is the tree that's in your road. It's part of the reason why you're not able to move forward. And it's like a physical block. Sometimes we're totally capable of, it's weird, I'm getting a weird picture, but like, say you're like trying to get across a river and there's rocks across the river and the river is going and you really don't want to go in the water. Sometimes you're totally capable of getting from one side to the other, hopping along the rocks and being fine. But sometimes when it might be raining and you might think, well, the rocks are wet, or I can't jump that far, or I'm not feeling good today, or I've got to carry all this stuff across the rocks. It can stop you from even trying to make that first step. If you're too afraid of getting swept down the river, you're going to be too afraid to make that first step. So it's literally like a physical block, something that you can't just, sure, it's in your head, but it's the idea that, say you don't trust your gut and you try to go across that water anyway and then you slip and you fall into the water. It's because you didn't believe in the first place that you could do it without, being, scathed. And remember, you still have protection here. You still have Archangel Mike. You have this action. This is the action. This is like the force behind the action, the thing you're supposed to embody and take with you, but it's also something that you have. This is something you already have, and this is something you already are. And on top of that, you're protected. This whole time you're wanting to do this, you're protected by him. So, and this is all, again, the action is, we're talking about trying to get to the action, but the action isn't like the end all of the situation. We still have the journey. The action is just to kick us off into the right direction to be in the journey. We're on the journey when we get stuck by this tree, but then once we cut this tree, we're back on the journey again. We've been paused. So let's see if there's any other messages from the Moonology manifestation and what other signs might be involved. We're also going to pull the blind spot in the extended. There's a couple other cards that we're going to pull as well to see if we can get any more messages, basically of support or any other information that might help us out. But definitely action oriented for you, Cancer. Definitely something needs to be done for that action to take place. You either need to like clear the road, or you need to end something, or you need to stop believing in somebody else's stuff, or you need to stop being upset about stuff and talking about it and actually do something about it. There's steps to this. You might need to see what's going on, even though it might be right in front of you. You're believing other stuff. And then again, the fear of moving forward is there. And then you have this door to value. The door to value is a great card for this particular reading, in the fact that it could mean anything, because this really could be blocking you from just about anything. Love is on the table, but action is on the table. Okay, so that's last quarter moon in Virgo. So there might be a Virgo involved for you, Cancer, and it says attend to the details. So you might be a little bit of a planner. There might be holes in this thing. You're trying to see it. You don't exactly know. I just got the notion of somebody that like got into a relationship with somebody and sort of like gave up their dreams, and now they're trying to figure out what they really do want. Because they see this thing, like even if they don't 100% see the situation, they're upset. And there's some other stuff that they know isn't right. They can see that, even if they can't see the whole picture. I'm going to pull two from the bottom. So we have first quarter moon in Scorpio, release your blocks. So again, purposely changing the thing to make way for yourself because something is in your way. This is the last quarter moon in Virgo, attend to the details. So maybe a Scorpio, maybe a Virgo involved for you. And then last quarter moon in Leo, lighten up. So again, if there is any kind of like anger or any other kind of like what we would usually call like a lower vibrational emotion involved because of this situation, it's not going to help you very much to cater to that. You need to allow the flow of whatever that emotion is to come and go like the waves. Don't hang on to it. And then just understand that this is all part of the idea that things need to move forward. They need to, you know, I mean, I don't see any like abrupt cards on the table except for walking away in mortality. But sometimes you have to have, when you don't make a decision about something you need to do, something happens for you, and then it forces you to make the next move. It's kind of like what I was talking about hopping across the water. You know, you may not be able to see the next rock until you step on the rock in front of you, but you have to step on the rock in front of you so that you can do that. Otherwise, sitting on the sidelines trying to count rocks isn't going to help you in that particular situation where action is required. Sometimes you guys know too, because you feel pulled. You feel like you want to go somewhere, but it's very, very easy to talk your way down. Where's that card? Because you don't feel like you belong there, or you don't feel like you have everything that you need to get there. And you do. You have the axe to chop down this tree. You don't have to go home and get it. You don't have to climb over the tree. You might need to be a little bit grounded. It's possible. It's possible. But the idea is mostly to cut yourself off from whatever it is that's holding you back. Whether it's the lack of seeing, or, you know, that something else, somebody is telling you something that's not true, that's hindering you from seeing things for what they are. Just trust your heart. Use your own judgment, but trust your heart. If you know that there's anger present, then don't make any decisions. Keep thinking about it until you figure out for what's real, what's going on from the big picture again, but also from, you know, all aspects of it. I always say this, the details, and then the details being put together so you can see what's going on. It's really time to see what the blind spot is, Cancer. We're going to pull that over in the extended. If this is your reading, meet us over at the extended. The link will be in the description. If not, until we meet again.